Hey folks, welcome back to True Crime Stories, where we cover the most thrilling true crime stories. Before we get going, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for me. Thanks. And now let's get into today's story.
Welcome to another deep dive, listeners. We've got a real head scratcher for you today.
Ooh, this one is a doozy. Small town mystery. You know how I love those.
This one takes place in Misty Hollow, like straight out of a storybook. Quaint cottages, beautiful coastlines, and more secrets than a scroll's got nuts.
These idyllic towns, they always have something brewing under the surface. That's what makes them so fascinating, right? You think you've got it all figured out, and bam, something happens that blows it all wide open.
Like a missing person.
Exactly. Vanishes into thin air, and then all the whispers start.
And the rumors.
Oh, especially the rumors. It's like someone drops a pebble in a pond.
And the ripples, they just keep spreading.
That's Misty Hollow for you. So let's talk about Clara Morgan, shall we?
Our missing person. She was an artist, super talented, but kind of kept to herself. Moved to Misty Hollow after, well, let's just say she'd had a rough go of it.
Trauma can do that to you. Makes you want to retreat, find someplace quiet. Some folks turn to nature, some to art.
Clara, she found solace in both. Beautiful landscapes, she'd capture them on canvas, like she was trying to make sense of the world.
Makes sense to me. There's healing in those things, in nature, in art. But integrating into a new community, that's a whole other beast, especially when you're carrying those kind of burdens.
With everyone wants to know your story, right?
Yeah, small towns, they're curious like that. Nosy, some might say.
So one evening, Clara heads out for one of her walks. Sketchbook in hand, lantern to light the way. She liked to wander the woods, find inspiration under the moonlight.
I can picture it. A lone figure, darkness all around, trees rustling. It's got a kind of, gothic feel to it.
Yeah, a little spooky.
Yeah.
And then she's just gone.
Poof.
Days turn into weeks. No Clara. Then her car turns up, abandoned at Devil's Edge.
A cliff overlook. Beautiful, but, well, kind of ominous if you think about it.
Right. And there, on the passenger seat, her sketchbook, open to a drawing.
Ooh, this is where it gets good.
Yeah, hold on to your hats, folks. This drawing, it showed a figure looking in the trees.
A lurking figure. Spooky. See, now this is what I'm talking about. This is why I love small town mysteries. Always a bit of the eerie, the unexplained. You start thinking, was Clara onto something? Did she know something was wrong?
Was this drawing a premonition? Or was it, something more?
And that's the question, isn't it? Was she trying to tell us something? Leave a clue behind?
Well, the good news is Sheriff Mark Porter was on the case.
Ah, the stalwart lawman. Every small town's got one.
He was determined to find Clara. No stone unturned.
They always say that, don't they? But in a place like Misty Hollow, I bet it's true.
You bet it is. The whole town was in an uproar. Search parties, volunteers, everyone was looking for her.
But as time went on, no Clara. The whispers started getting louder, the suspicions grew.
Yeah, because when there are no answers, people start to point fingers.
It's human nature, right? We try to make sense of the chaos, and in a small town where everyone knows everyone, it's easy to start seeing shadows where there might not be any.
In Misty Hollow, they had plenty of shadows. First up, Lucas Finch.
The teenage boy.
The one who saw Clara leave for her walk that night. Turns out he was a big fan of her art, would often stop by her place, watch her work.
Ah, the admirer. Always got to consider the admirer, right?
Exactly. But was Lucas's admiration, well, a little too intense?
It happens, the line between admiration and obsession, sometimes it gets a little blurry.
Especially with those spooky sketches.
Yeah.
Folks started wondering, did Lucas see something he wasn't telling? Maybe he knew something about Clara's fears.
Now, hold on. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Teenage boys, they can be awkward, shy. Maybe he just happened to be in the wrong place the wrong time.
Fair enough. We got to consider all the angles. But there were other folks in Misty Hollow with secrets of their own.
Oh, I bet there were. Spill the tea. Who else was in the mix?
Well, there was Michael Johnson, the handyman. Bit of a loner, And rumor had it, he had a thing for Clara.
A thing, huh? Unrequited love, that can be a powerful motivator.
Right. And as the handyman, he had keys to everyone's homes, including Clara's. Now, on the night she vanished, Michael said he was home, painting. Alone.
Alone, you say? No alibi, then. That's always suspicious. Even if he's innocent, the lack of a witness, well, it casts a shadow, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, if it makes you wonder.
What?
But the intrigue doesn't stop there. We've also got Evelyn Carter.
Who's Evelyn?
Only the town gossip. Queen of the rumor mill. She ran this online newsletter, Misty Whispers, juicy tidbits, half-truths, the whole 9 yards.
Ah, the town crier of the digital age. Gotta love them.
She was obsessed with Clara's disappearance. I mean, it was like manna from heaven for her newsletter.
Well, yeah, that's their bread and butter, right? Scandals, mysteries, the more salacious, the better.
But the thing about Evelyn, you could never tell if she was genuinely concerned about Clara or just using the whole thing to boost her readership.
Motives can be tricky, can't they? Was she a concerned citizen or a cold-hearted opportunist? Or maybe a little bit of both.
That's the million-dollar question. But there was something else that really stood out in all this. Something that gave a glimpse into Clara's state of mind before she went missing.
Remember those sketches we were talking about? The ones found in Clara's car?
The one with the lurking figure? Yeah, super creepy.
Well, the police found more in her studio, even more disturbing.
Hold on. There were more. What were they like?
Darker. Like way darker. Still that figure, but bigger, more menacing each time. Almost consuming her, you know?
Yikes. Sounds like she was really struggling with something. Maybe these sketches, they were her way of processing it, getting those fears out.
Could be. Or maybe a cry for help. Like she was trying to tell someone, hey, something's wrong.
But she couldn't say it out loud.
Sometimes it's easier to express those deep, dark fears through art, you know? It's safer, less real.
And remember, she came to Misty Hollow to escape something. Maybe whatever she was running from, it was catching up with her. Like those fears, they were manifesting in her art. And maybe in her life, too.
That's a scary thought. Makes you wonder, what if she'd reached out to someone? What if she told someone what was going on?
Maybe things would have been different.
Maybe, but we'll never know for sure. Now, here's something else that adds to the mystery. Remember how Clara confided in a friend about those creepy messages and calls?
Yeah, the ones that made her feel like she was being watched.
Well, the police finally got access to her phone records. Turns out, she was texting a friend like crazy in those days leading up to her disappearance.
Oh, wow. So she really was scared. What did she say in those texts?
Basically, she was describing what she was feeling. The sense of being watched, followed, even mentioned seeing that dark figure just like in her sketches. It's clear she was terrified.
Makes you think, why didn't she go to the police?
It's not always easy to report something like that, you know? Especially when you're feeling vulnerable, scared.
Maybe she thought they wouldn't believe her.
It happens. People get dismissed, especially when it comes to stalking, harassment.
Sad but true. And it could have cost Clara valuable time.
Now, as the investigation went on, Sheriff Porter started noticing something interesting about Clara's routine.
What's that?
She was spending a lot of time at this secluded cabin. Deep in the woods, it was her spot, you know? A place to paint, to think, to get away from it all.
Secret hideaway. Ooh, I love it.
But here's the thing. How did whoever was targeting her know about this cabin?
Good point. It wasn't exactly on the tourist map, was it?
Nope. Which means someone was watching her, learning her habits, getting close, way too close for comfort.
Talk about creepy. This wasn't just some random thing. This was targeted, deliberate. Someone wanted Clara gone, or at least wanted her to believe she wasn't safe.
Right. The stakes just got a lot higher. But with so many suspects, so many secrets swirling around, how do you even begin to narrow it down?
That's what I want to know. Did Sheriff Porter have any leads?
He did. And this is where the story takes a turn, dives even deeper into the shadows of Misty Hollow.
Oh, I'm all ears. Spill it.
Sheriff Porter started digging into Clara's past, looking for connections, anyone who might have had a reason to hurt her.
Because she came to Misty Hollow to escape something, right?
Exactly. And sometimes, the past, it has a way of catching up with you.
No matter how far you run.
And that's what led them to Ray Matthews.
Ray Matthews? Who's that?
He was a former resident of Misty Hollow, known for being, well, a bit troubled, erratic.
Okay. And how was he connected to Clara?
He had this, well, obsession with her, blamed her for everything wrong in his life, thought she was the reason he had to leave Misty Hollow.
Ah, so she was his scapegoat.
Exactly.
Yep.
But was he dangerous? Or just a sad, lonely guy with mental health issues?
That's a tough one. It's a fine line, you know,
Yeah.
between being a threat and needing help.
And that's what the police had to figure out. Was Ray just talking, or was he capable of something more?
Did they have any evidence linking him to Clara's disappearance?
At first, it was mostly circumstantial. Witnesses had seen him around Clara's place making threats, but nothing concrete.
Oh.
Then, remember Lucas, the teenage boy who admired Clara.
Yeah, the one who saw her leave that night.
Well, he was determined to help find her. So he went back to that area near her cabin, searching for clues.
Like a junior detective.
He was, and he found something small but important, on the path leading to the cabin.
What was it?
A candy bar wrapper.
A candy bar wrapper.
Seriously.
I know, right? Seems like nothing. But this particular brand, it wasn't sold in Misty Hollow, the closest place to buy it, a town in the next county over.
Interesting. So whoever dropped that wrapper, they weren't from around there.
Exactly. And when the police checked security footage from those stores, they got a hit. Someone buying that exact candy bar. And guess who it was?
Ray Matthews.
Bingo. But here's the kicker. He wasn't alone.
He wasn't. Who was he with?
Evelyn Carter.
Evelyn. The gossip columnist? What? How? Why? This just got a whole lot more complicated.
Right. I mean, talk about a plot twist. The town gossip and the troubled outcast working together. It's like something out of, I don't know, like a really messed up movie.
Seriously. But what was Evelyn's angle? Was she, like, using Ray to get her story? It seems that way. You see, Ray, he was fixated on Clara, blamed her for all his troubles. Evelyn, she saw an opportunity. She fed him information about Clara, her routines, where she went.
All for a juicy scoop for her newsletter.
Exactly. She thought she could control him, get the story of a lifetime.
But it backfired, didn't it? Big time.
Oh, yeah. Playing with fire, that's what she was doing. And she got burned.
But did she want Clara to disappear? I mean, that's a big leap.
Who knows what goes on in that mind of hers? Maybe she underestimated Ray, didn't think he'd actually do anything. Or maybe she was so blinded by her ambition she didn't even care.
It's scary how ambition can twist people, make them do things they wouldn't normally do.
And the irony is, she wanted to expose everyone else's secrets, but ended up keeping the biggest one of all.
So how did it all come crashing down for Evelyn?
That security footage, that was the nail in her coffin. Ray buying that candy bar with her right there beside him. Sheriff Porter, he put two and two together, confronted her with the evidence.
And she cracked.
Oh, yeah, spilled the whole beans, admitted to her part in it, the manipulation, the feeding Ray's obsession, it all came out.
So what happened to Ray after Clara disappeared?
He took off, ran into the woods, vanished for a while. They found him eventually, miles away, confused, lost. It was clear he needed help, mental health help.
It's just sad all around, isn't it? Clara trying to escape her past, Ray struggling with his demons, and Evelyn, well, she got exactly what she deserved.
It's a reminder that things aren't always what they seem. You got this idyllic little town, but beneath the surface, all these dark currents swirling, secrets, obsessions, lies.
And sometimes those currents, they pull people under.
But the good news is, they found Clara.
She was alive.
Oh, yeah. Came out of the woods a few days later, shaken but alive. Turns out she'd managed to escape Ray, hide out until it was safe.
That's a relief.
Yeah.
I was worried there for a minute. So what happened after? Did Misty Hollow recover from all this?
It took time, but yeah. They had community forums, started talking about stalking, mental health, all the things that had been swept under the rug for so long.
Sometimes it takes a tragedy to shake things up, to make people see what they've been ignoring.
That's the truth. And Clara, well, she went on to use her art to help others, started leading workshops for trauma survivors, using her experience to show that healing is possible.
It's amazing how people can turn pain into something positive,
Yeah.
It's inspiring.
It is. So there you have it. The mystery of Misty Hollow.
The story of secrets, obsession, and the lengths people will go to get what they want.
And a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there's always hope. Always a chance for redemption.
Well, listeners, that's our deep dive for today. What do you think? What did you learn from this case? What stuck with you?
Leave us a comment. Let us know your thoughts.
And join us next week for another deep dive into, well, who knows what mysteries we'll uncover next. Until then, stay curious, stay safe, and keep those lights on.